Yeah, so thank you everyone for coming today. So yeah, we were talking with Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, by the way, for letting us come here and take over for the night. And we were talking about, our learning about digital marketing and all of that. And so we thought it might be good to talk about how we kind of stumbled into learning more about this stuff, and also how we launched our company. I guess we'll get started and just introduce who we are. Um, like Jeff said, we're the co-founders of Code Chrysalis. This picture right here is actually one of the very first pictures, I think the first picture that Kani and I took together. We started in San Francisco. Actually, that was where Kani and I met. So I was working as a software engineer there, and I had also recently started another coding boot camp. And a mutual friend put me in touch with, or put the two of us in touch, because Kani, you were an executive at Pivotal, and then you wanted to forge your own path, and so you actually went to Hack Reactor with the intention of starting a boot camp. You want to elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, so as Jeff mentioned, I studied here in Japan in the 90s, and I was in the US after that, and I realized what was supposed to be a real high-tech and advanced country in many fields were really falling behind. And I on my own, advocate that to the lack of great software engineering skills, or at least not understanding the true value of software. And also, I think it's no surprise, but not lack of English skills, if I may put it so bluntly. So these two things I thought was an opportunity, first and foremost, to come and do in Japan. So I thought of doing a software engineering school that focuses things in English. But yeah, I didn't have any experience, or even though I was working at tech companies, I was mostly in the services and services side of the business and strategy side of the business. So I went to school and I learned how to code, and worked at a coding school after that, and kind of gained the skills thought I needed to move forward.
Yeah, and I had a slightly different sort of idea. I became a software engineer because I wanted to start a company. So I was working in finance, trading before, didn't like that and wanted to figure out how to start a company. But of course, engineers are expensive and difficult to come by. None of my friends were quite so convinced that they should take a bunch of equity to join me to try to build an app for me. So I thought I would try to learn how to do that on my own. So that's why I became a software engineer. And I really stumbled into education on complete accident. I'd always liked teaching, like in, school, I was tutoring people for fun on the side. But I started teaching as a software engineer, just on the side, like helping out in nonprofits, because it helped me with learning. I was a relatively new software engineer and I really wanted to level up my skill. And so there's nothing, I think, like more accelerating than agreeing to teach something that you don't know, right? Because it forces you to learn it at an accelerated pace. So that was how I got into it. And I had started another coding school before, and so I was really into this whole idea of hacking education, right? In a very short period of time, we can get a bunch of people into the industry who might not have been able to make that switch in such a short amount of time. So that's a little bit about us. We got started in a pretty standard way, trying to figure out our missions and goals. Kani, you want to talk about this little screenshot we have there?
Yeah. So we knew we wanted to change how Japan builds software and also empower people and make their dreams come true. So we started off with trying to figure out what is our kind of mission and what should the tagline be. And these were some of the really sad ideas that we initially came up with. We somehow got so stuck with the word ikigai too, not having kind of being here or it sounded like a cool word abroad. But then when we spoke to Japanese friends, they said, that doesn't sound good. But you can see kind of our thought process. And then after this sad attempt, next slide, I think we came up with we came up with the re-engineering yourself tagline. And the journey, we had some really sad posters that all look pretty scary here. I don't know what that shadow of that girl is supposed to be. Looks like someone's lurking after her, and the develop your ikigai seems like he's about to commit suicide. But you can see our thought process, and we've tried to, and finally we actually went pro, and we had a friend who used to work with, or still works with, Nike, Apple, and Adidas. He decided to help us, and he came up with this butterfly logo, and to represent the chrysalis, and being born out of a chrysalis and transforming yourself, and the re-engineer yourself tagline. So from a very early on stage, we were very focused on marketing and branding.
Yeah, and one of the first things that we did was we had a lot of events. So we tried to hold free events just to validate some of our assumptions and our brand. We were coming into Tokyo thinking that, hey, maybe there's a market for people who want to learn how to code, who are able to learn it in English, and who are maybe willing to take a bunch of time off and hand over a large chunk of money to us. And so, we had to test some of these first assumptions that we had, like, are there people out there who want to learn how to code, and are they willing to do it in English? And so this was actually the first event that we did, the HTML CSS workshop. Back then we didn't even have banners. It was just, information about the event. I don't even think we had snacks and drinks. I think we might have. We did not. Yeah, so we lied even in the first event. But we had people come, and that really gave us a lot of confidence. I think our first two events, we had something around 40 to 50 people come. And so that was really surprising to us. It was a lot more people than we had expected. We also dreamed really big, and we had the confidence that things would get figured out later. An example I have was, while we were still building the curriculum, while the curriculum wasn't ready, we were already kind of showing off what that curriculum looked like, knowing that would come about later. So kind of showing everyone, like, hey, this is the curriculum that we're putting together, and trying to get people to kind of see the bigger picture that we had. And this, by the way, is a screenshot of that document. Kani, you also had really big dreams as well. You want to talk about them?
I think when it comes to dreaming big, being foolish also is a good place to be. So you don't know what you don't know. You're not scared. You don't think too rationally, and this allows you to, I think, really dream big and not kind of discourage yourself with some reality. One of the things I did early on is create a coming to Japan in summer of 2017, a single page website. Not a website, it was actually a static page, one picture, but it allowed you to sign on your email address or share your email address if you were interested more about the program. And I was surprised by how many people found the site and started actually giving me their email address, saying that they're interested. So that also, along with the lessons and the classes we did, gave us a lot of confidence to move forward.
Yeah, we have a question from Joshua Worley. For the initial meetings, how did you market them? As in, how did 40 to 50 people hear about the event and decide to come? Social media, word of mouth, etc. That's a really great question. And thinking back, I think it was a whole host of things. We were coming to Japan and just trying to meet with whoever would talk to us. Whether or not they were even relevant, we didn't really think too deeply on that. And I think for us, what was really validating was we put it on Meetup, And we just kind of automatically were getting people joining our meetup group without too much like promotion on our end. Like people were just, at the time, there wasn't a ton of like developer stuff happening in English. And particularly, there wasn't a lot of like beginner events happening. And so I think we just got attention for being so niche. And that was how we got to 40, 50 people. We also just blasted everyone we knew with that information. So even if we had met someone for like a split second, you know, the great thing about Japan when you're starting out is you get all of these name cards, right? So we would just like, you know, message them on Facebook or email them. And that was really how we got to 40 to 50 people for those initial events.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, we really talked to everyone about what we were doing. Kani, you want to talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah. I mean, if we sat next to someone in the plane, we talked to that person, right? And because anyone any contact in Japan was a new contact for us. It's a bit unfortunate that we are not doing this to that extent right now. But then we were really every name card, every person we met was an important resource to us, an important supporter of ours, and we were hustling and selling our story. A lot of coffees and lunches, a lot of cold emailing, a lot of Meishi exchanges. We went to many events. This photograph in specific is ex-Sony chairman, CEO Hidei Nobuyuki, who I had a chance to meet, and I took him a T-shirt, and he said, "Let's put it on and let's take a photograph." So everybody has come to that sense, has helped us get here, and then also we also listened to what people's challenges were, and it was quite obvious early on that many people cheered us on, saying Japan needs this. So that also helped.
Yeah, and I think early on we, had Meishi printed out. That logo that you're seeing, that was decided on really early on. So we had that printed, we put those on T-shirts and just had like the branding set. And so anytime we were talking to people, and literally like on a train, on a plane, like I'd be the person like saying hello to people on the plane. It would be, here's my name card. Let me tell you about what we're trying to do. And we made a lot of contacts like that. Yeah, so how did we survive? I want to start off with some advantages that we had, because I think Kani and I came in with a lot of advantages. The first one was access to a location in central Tokyo that could hold events. So our current location, Kani, you want to talk about that? Because you were the one who locked that down.
Yeah, we had a believer supporter who told us we could use his, he had a co-working space, and he gave his then machine room where all the servers were, which they decided not to use and go to the cloud. They said we could convert that room and use it as a classroom for 2 years. And the good thing about this space was it had a space where you could hold events. And of course, as being in this space, we were allowed to have access to that space, and we really took advantage of it.
Yeah. You want to go on, or should I tap?
Yeah, I can. And also, I mean, I think we were very blessed. Yan and I had a lot of support from our partners. My wife, Aki, to this date, supports me as I try out this startup world. Yan too left her job, and Anibal's, supporting both of us. I mean, in that sense, to carry on this goal and dream. We also had some savings, we are a very bootstrapped startup. We didn't take investments from outside. We have one angel from in Japan, but it was it was less for the money. It was more for his contacts and help.
And space.
And space. The same person who offered us a space. So we had some savings that we were able to put into the business to start things off. And since I had been here for college for 4 years, I was and am able to speak in Japanese pretty well. So that also, I think, was an advantage starting off.
Yeah. I think we were also just really mission driven. I think before Code Chrysalis, I would see companies use the term mission driven, and I never really like clicked what it meant. But from the very beginning, we were trying to figure out ways to, I think, support our mission. So I think I have these are our missions right there. Create engineering leaders, empower women, and build community. So these have been this slide has basically been unchanged for the entire time we've been operating. But these have been our missions from the very start. And so everything that we did was just like the missions were baked in. If we were talking to companies, it would be, hey, do you want to sponsor some scholarships for women or LGBTQ or whatever? If it was, working with other organizations, we would be really cognizant of reaching out to organizations that represented like underrepresented groups, and also making sure that we collaborated as much as we could. And then also, we had all of this space. So while we didn't have a lot of other things, we had space. And so we tried our best to use our space by allowing other organizations to use it, because we love to do free events to try to build up community. And so I recently saw this tweet not long ago by Sahil, who's a CEO of a company. And he said, your startup can offer more than just software: community, hope, charity, motivation, advice, interactions. And this, I think, really resonated with me because I think this is what has really driven Kani and I forward. Like, this is what's kept us motivated during the many downturns and negatives that we've seen. The fact that we were building a community, that we were providing hope and some kind of tangible progress in people's lives, and providing charity, providing motivation, that was what motivated us to keep going. Yeah. And yeah, we had a big focus on our reputation as well. Kani, you want to talk about this?
Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, should I? All right. So just to be totally blunt, we did not do well for probably the first year and a half to 2 years that we were running Code Chrysalis. We made some really painful business decisions in order to maintain our brand and quality. And actually, there's someone at the door. So Kani, you should take over this while I go.
Okay. All right.
Answer.
Yeah. So to this date, these things that we are focused on aren't really great business decisions, I would say, or because we have a lot of people applying for our programs, but we only end up admitting about 20 to 30%. But that's by design, and we haven't, even through COVID-19, wavered the bar. We've never messed with the bar. We are trying to create a brand that will live longer than will work for itself. So high admissions bar, a really tough course to stay in after you get in. In the beginning, it was all in English. That was again a challenge. And also we believe that good engineers and a great engineer, even if sometimes their technical skills are the same, what differentiates them are their soft skills. Are they able to communicate well? Do they have a growth mindset and be able to be autonomous in their learning and be a great team player, etc. So we focus on these things as well in the program, which some people bluntly do not want. They're like, just teach me how to code. And also it's full time. You cannot take this course part time. But again, these are the things that kind of have created our reputation and our brand. And this is how we are differentiating ourselves with our competition.
Yeah, so you can see here for the first, and each of our courses are 3 months, right? So you can kind of gather cohorts 1 through 4, 1 year, 5 through 9 is another year. So you can see how few students we had for a long time. We really stuck hard to our standards. We didn't want to let people in who we felt like maybe wouldn't get as much out of the course or weren't able to keep up or just weren't really like the type of student that we were seeking. And this ended up helping us being able to stick to that. These standards really helped, I think, build our reputation. We also had to figure out how to find students, and I think actually one of them is here today. But if you look at the 5 students in our first cohort, right, we only had 5. 2 were from Google, like they Googled us, or they didn't Google us, but they were just Googling around and figured us out. We found 2 from events, and then 1 from a job posting that we put up for an instructor. And so we were able to learn like, hey, Google is obviously like really great. Let's do some Google ads, and let's figure out some better SEO for events. That just gave us more motivation that the events were working. Because we would be doing events and we felt like, we were making some progress, but having students in our class paying money, we were like, this is really working. And then the job posting from, someone who were thinking of like working with us, going from like potentially working as an instructor to being a student, that really made us, gave us like the validation that we need to make sure that engineers know about us as well, like trying to get their respect, because we could have done events that only reached out to beginners, but we started doing more events that would reach out to like regular engineers that would not come to Code Chrysalis per se. Like they were already working, they were already software engineers, but we also wanted to do events for them. Partly because, we wanted them to get to know our school, but also because, a healthy tech ecosystem means more opportunities and more growth for our school, right? So we really wanted to help grow that community. And digital marketing, so difficult. We're constantly learning and improving. I took a screenshot of some of our initial Instagram posts and how sad they were, and then taking a look at what our Instagram is like now. We've really learned a lot more how to make our brand as vibrant as we feel it is, right? Conveying also our energy through social media was really important. It's really easy for people when they visit us, they can kind of see how animated and vibrant the school is, but especially because of COVID, we've been really trying to figure out how we can translate the energy into like showing that in online posts. And so, we also learned how to do better with Twitter ads, or not Twitter ads, but just Twitter posts, right? On the left side, you can see some of the first tweets that we had, which were really terrible. And then now our tweets, we're using emojis, we're making it more, catchy and to the point, tagging things, pictures. So just things like that, I think, have helped us a lot. I have a question here. Have you thought about digitizing your courses to an e-learning program? Yes, Mark. We've actually been doing that. So we just rolled out something called Foundations Lite, which is like an intro to programming class. And that's, you get videos of our lectures. And then also once a week, there's someone who leads like a study session. And also all of our courses are available remotely as well. So we've talked a lot about what digitalizing our courses would look like. For us, I think like the interactivity of our courses is really key. Like you're always talking to someone or working with someone. And so trying to figure out how to bring that to online and not just be like another Coursera or another Udemy has been really important to us. And we learned how to build a better marketing website. Like Kani said earlier, the first website that we had was just like an image, I think, or not even an image. I think it was just like coming to Tokyo. July 2017 with like a little area. You can also look on like the Wayback Machine, like the Wayback Machine, at a website that takes snapshots of websites. Our first iterations of the website up until maybe even like a few months ago, like we were really, it just didn't look great until we had someone working on the marketing website more full time, right? As software engineers, people assume that, we're really great creating websites, but actually we create software. And so, for a while, even though professionally before Code Chrysalis, I was building these beautiful like enterprise applications. I found that, building a website was just like another ball game. Yeah, there's coding related, but there are so many other things that you have to take into account. So as a professional software engineer, I never had to deal with SEO or making our website, have caring about tags and things on our website, making sure that there was like a meta tags I didn't have to care about because we were building web apps. So something more like a Facebook, or like Gmail or something like that, where you're actually using, versus a website where you're just giving information to people and trying to be found by search engines. That was really different. And it was quite jarring as a software engineer to like be learning all of these new things to keep in mind.
One thing worth mentioning is that, we, however, do everything in-house. And as engineers, we continue to learn and iterate, which is, and I think this is our best version of our website yet, but I'm sure it's going to be better in a month.
Yeah, what I recently started doing this year was getting a bunch of professional designers together for like a 1-hour session, because what I also found with doing stuff like building a good marketing website, whenever people would give me feedback like, oh, this could be better, that could be better, oftentimes they were things that I already knew about, right? Like I was like, I know that this could be better worded. I know I need to add in this. I know I need to add in that. And you end up with this really long list of things that you hate about your website that need to be better. And we're limited with time. We're limited with the people who can work on this stuff. We're limited by money, right? We can't just outsource this to someone and pay a bunch of money to an agency to create a good marketing website. So I found that the best way, instead of asking one person, like, give me your advice on the website, it was much more impactful and effective to have a group of people, a group of designers, business people, and engineers, and then having them discuss what was highest priority in their eyes. Because I had a to-do list, like I knew, what needed to get fixed, but what of these things would be most impactful, right? Like, what is the lowest hanging fruit that has like the biggest effect for our website? Like, that was what I needed more advice on. I had my assumptions for what needed to get done, but being able to hear the priority list from other people, I think, was what really helped our website, in particular for like this past year, make such a leap of improvement. Because even about, I think 6 months ago, it was nowhere near this that we're seeing right now. And it was only until we started getting that prioritized feedback from other people, that was where I saw an acceleration. Yeah. We also, wanted to build our community. And so that was a big mission of ours. Our third mission was to build community. Kani and I were both working in San Francisco before this. And San Francisco, Silicon Valley, that's the tech mecca of the world. And there were events happening just all the time, every day. I mean, I remember saying to a friend living in San Francisco, I was just so effortlessly busy in that city because there was something happening every night. Like some famous engineer was speaking, Facebook was having a recruiting event, or like, there was like a workshop for this new technology. And so as an engineer, leveling up and gaining more skills, learning in San Francisco, and I would say even if you weren't an engineer, there was just so much knowledge sharing happening in that city that I wasn't surprised that was how innovation was getting generated, and I really wanted to create that atmosphere in Tokyo. Right, just providing people with a space to talk about something that they recently learned or what they were working on. And so focusing on that community and trying to build up that kind of culture of sharing was really important for us. And so we built second largest English-speaking tech and startup community in Japan. We have over about 5,000 members on all our platforms. And from 2017 to 2019, we averaged about 2.4 events per week. So every week we had 2 to 3 events happening, whether or not they were panel discussions, workshops, someone coming to give a talk, all kinds of stuff. Like we tried to do anything and everything that we could. And since we had our first event in March of 2017, we've hosted over 400 events. So just like doing these events, it helped us raise our profile in Tokyo. We also were able to raise our profile in the engineering community. And that helped us immensely because we were starting to get referrals of like people, beginners sent to us from their engineering friends, like their friends who were already working as software engineers. They would go to them and be like, I want to learn how to code. What do I do? And their software engineer friend who had maybe learned about us by coming to an event, they would say, hey, go to Code Chrysalis. I like what they're doing. And so that helped us a lot. We also were able to get corporate leads, like enterprise sales leads, through our events as well, and through building up a reputation within the software engineering community, where software engineers or engineering managers would come to our events, find out about us and say like, hey, we really like you. We have this problem in our company. Do you think you can, put together some kind of program to help level up our engineers or fix our engineering culture? So the events, even though we haven't been the best about quantifying them, like each event leads to this dollar amount of sales, I think they've really helped us solidify our reputation. So yeah, we also just continue talking. This time, instead of just talking to the person next to us, we are speaking at more events like this one. Kani, you want to talk a bit about your work with like the Japanese community?
Yeah. We've been very fortunate, and people have been coming to us and asking us to speak at various events as subject matter experts. Sometimes about Silicon Valley, sometimes about coding, sometimes about modern software best practices. But yeah, I've also been fortunate to be doing this in Japanese. My Japanese by no means is great, but it's good enough to get an important message across or share some valuable information. So I've been embracing it. We have a saying at Code Chrysalis, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And every time I had to do this, the whole day is a goner because I can't even, I'm in anticipation and I'm so nervous about the event itself. But you go up there and you do it, and then every time you feel stronger and you feel a bit more confident and comfortable. So yeah, we've been both, and Jan's been talking a lot in the English community, and also around different circles that you can explain, Jan, on with the Women Who Code and those events. But But yeah, together we figured we cover a good range of people. I cover the Japanese side and maybe the older salaryman crowd, and Yan covers more the English speaking and the younger crowd. So that also has helped us.
I'm the hip one, and Kani, you're the one that makes the old executive salarymen feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's also been like a really good dynamic, I think, working with Kani, and I think this partnership that we've had has been really good. I think we're able to play off of each other, our strengths and weaknesses, and that's been, I think, another big factor in our success. And yeah, being as authentic as we can. I think we try to insert as much fun as we can into the company, into our program, and also like in our socials, right? And yeah, we also have dogs, and that helps a lot. So yeah, and we take them to work. Those are the slides that we have, the things that we kind of wanted to talk about. We didn't really go into a ton of detail, but I'm hoping to get some questions from the audience, kind of open the floor up for a bit of discussion. And of course, if you have any tips or tricks for us that we should know. One more little announcement. We are hiring. Kani, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we are currently looking for, and maybe towards the end too, I can talk a bit more, but we are looking for a full-time PR/marketing person to come and help us build our brand in the Japanese community. We've done an okay job on the English-speaking side in Japan, but I think we really need some help in the Japanese community. So if you have any friends, I can send you the job description details later, but let us know.
Yeah, so I had a question from Phil about how much our course is. Our full-time course is 1.32 million yen. That's including tax. It's a lot of money, and we are the by far, I think, the priciest option in the bootcamp market in Tokyo, and we just always kind of kept to that because not only are we the priciest, I think our return on investment is like by far the highest. And, it's a 3-month program, yes, but really the students are with us for like over a year. Kani mentioned this before. Let me go back to that slide, actually. This. We have a high admissions bar to get into the course. And so you have to actually know how to code a little bit to get in. So you have to pass a bunch of interviews. There's that, which takes a particular amount of time. And there's our admissions coaches providing feedback on, and giving feedback and helping people get into the course, right? So if someone interviews and they're not at our technical standard, we tell them, we give them homework, and we basically like reschedule them. So it's kind of almost like a free coaching session. Like it's a free 20 to 30 minute coaching session. Also, after they get in, after they pass the interviews, we have 2 months worth of pre-course. So this is like mandatory projects, assessments, assignments, things like that students have to do. And that's done remotely, and there's instructor intervention in that. So, before you even get started with the course, it's already a lot of interaction that we're having with the student, a lot of work. And then after the course, we provide job hunting assistance. So after students graduate, every week we are having meetings, checking in on them, making sure that they're applying to companies, making sure that, they have someone to cry to for all the rejections, making sure that they have someone to do mock interviews with. So we're providing that after they graduate. And we even do stuff like salary negotiation. We help all of our students negotiate their salaries, read their contracts. For many of our students, this is like the first, tech, or most of our students, this is the first tech job that they're getting. And so we're helping them, understand those parts of their resume, not resume, but their contract. Also, like, we also do that for our graduates, our alums who maybe are making a change to another job after Code Chrysalis. So we provide basically like lifetime career support. So that's where the 1.32 million goes into. It's like the support before, during, and after the program that we provide a lot of.
There's another question, Yan, about if we've been getting any help from the government. Maybe I can touch a bit on that. Thanks, Nalin, for the question. So we recently got blessed by METI, so to speak. But basically, there is a Daiyoji IT Sangyo Kakume, a kind of a recognition that METI provides in educational institutions. And we were able to receive this high standard from the government, exactly. Thanks, Masataka. And which helps. And then we had to, once we have this blessing or approval, we have to work with the another ministry. But basically, we are able to now give, the students are able to get about 60% of their tuition back for taking our course that has been approved by the government. So that has been huge. That was very recent. It's more on our website about that. But to answer your question more deeply, no, we haven't had a chance to work with the government yet. If there's anyone who can connect us, there's ways we can help. We would love to make connections and help in this area. I'm really worried about the government's mandate about forcing, programming in schools. Many years later, I don't know the exact years, Japan's still not a bilingual country, even though English is a second language as taught at schools. So I have a fear that done wrong, and I have no indication that they're going to do it right now. But students could be very allergic to programming, and they wouldn't understand why it's needed. They might be forced to do certain things, not understand the need. And if they are forced with homework and things they're going to do, I don't think it's going to be that much of a positive impact. In fact, it could even be negative. So anyone, can help us connect with someone in this space. We would love to advise or help and work in this area.
Yeah, I would also say, like, for some of the government stuff where we didn't really fit the criteria either, like we already had our own savings, so we didn't really need a particular funding scheme that they had, or we're not like a traditional tech startup where we're creating an app. We're much more like of a brick and mortar shop in many regards, or at least when we first got started. Or we were too developed or not developed enough. We were always not quite fitting into all the different buckets that the government had. Yeah. A question from Bill, who's actually one of our first students. Looking back, what would you have done differently with regards to marketing if you were to start over? And looking forward, how do you plan to continue to grow? I don't know what Kani would say, but for me, I think I would say understanding digital marketing a little bit more in the beginning, would have saved us a lot of hassle, I think. Another one is also, I think, investing more in it as well. We really saw business get better and better as we learned, it was kind of in conjunction, as we learned more how to do Google ads, how to write better copy, how to write better tweets and things like that. Our school also grew as well. And I would say like during the pandemic, especially, where a main source of, how we get students, our events are basically not available now. That has made us really double down on the website. So I think like making sure, spending more time working on our website, making it look nice, making it really speak to people, I think that also would have helped us accelerate a little bit more in the beginning.
Yeah, I was to add, I would say first on, this deck kind of speaks to it as well, but we've been very fortunate and very lucky. We hustled a lot, as you can see, and we've somehow survived 3 years. But I think going forward, we definitely need to go to school and figure out how to do digital marketing much better than what we've been doing so far. Jan and we thought digital marketing was just putting stuff on social media until we kind of even opened like Google Analytics and figured like the science behind it and how deep the rat hole goes. And then being strategic about each thing that you're doing and tracking it, and then doubling down on certain things and canning certain things. These are things that we weren't scientifically working on. So yeah, going forward, I think this is what this new resource is also all about. We definitely want to bring in some help to take us to the next level.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, I think I was just talking to him and I was like, I actually don't know what you do for a living. What do you do? And he was like, I'm a digital marketer. And I was like, I think that's what we need right now. And so Kani and we had a meeting with him, and he did the most basic stuff looking back now, but it just blew our minds. So like we knew about Google Analytics, but we did not know about the ads manager on Facebook. Because when we first started the company, what we were doing, Facebook would say like, do you want to boost this event that you're doing? And we'd be like, sure, let's boost it, right? Like we'll just like click on the button, we'll like pay a little money. And like, that was the digital marketing that we were doing. And then this friend of mine literally just opened up the ads like manager thing, and it was, it's really complicated. There's so much in there. And so we were just like floored, like, wow, there's this whole other part of Facebook that we've never seen before. And so that was really how this all got started. Like we kind of stopped doing just the boosting and started really figuring out like what all of this stuff was. Yeah. And around, I think, Kani, was it like 2018? So about a year in was when we hired our first digital marketer. And that was someone who actually did not have a background in digital marketing. She was helping us out doing kind of random things. And then, she was smart and hardworking. And so we were like, can you figure this out for us? And so that was when we I think, got a little bit more rigor into all of this. Yeah.
There's also one question from Nalin that I want to address about Gakko Hojing, which I believe is making us a proper educational institute. The problem with this Gakko Hojing is the regulations. What makes us so different and unique is because we're not regulated, we get to disrupt education in many ways and not structured by certain rules. So it's a balance. Do we want to be regulated and not be able to move as fast and change things and disrupt education? Or do we get bound by it and kind of abide by it like other schools? So even the METI certification was very hard to get because they were asking for, it is a bit, not to throw anyone under the bus or speak ill of anything, but they would ask for like printed textbooks. What kind of textbooks do you use? And show us your copies of your textbooks. And we are not in an age where we have textbooks anymore. We are using platforms to do this. They're all digital. We change things from every cohort, but whatever we learn, we can improve. We change them on the fly. But with these kind of structure, you can change them. You need to submit your changes, get approvals. So for this reason, we haven't gone the Gakko Hojin route, and I don't think we will. But you're right. Without that, again, sometimes we don't get the same kind of respect or attention from the government, especially, and corporation.
Yeah. Bill had a question. I read from somewhere that as a startup, or from the book Traction, you should put about 50% of effort into growth and 50% on your actual product. Do you feel like this is a good recommendation, or do you think a different split is better? That's a really good question. I think it depends on what your company is doing and where you're at. I think if we had done the 50% growth, 50% product, Kani and I would have had to raise more money than we had. Like we would have had to do a round to actually hire the marketing or the growth team that we needed, because we were just so focused on creating, like getting a business up and going, right? And that was something that we didn't want to do. There's numerous reasons. One, like coding bootcamps are not your typical like super high growth kind of type of businesses, right? It's not like something like Airbnb that can scale very fast worldwide, right? Even if we did scale worldwide, the rollout would have been much slower than, say, your average tech company. And the other thing was like we wanted to have a high amount of control in our product. We had, I think if we had gone with more investors, they would have pulled us in directions maybe that we weren't ready to go. And so I think it depends on where your company is at, the people working on it, and where your priorities are, I guess. Kani, what would you say to that?
You're right. I mean, we've been all about product to now. Build good products and people will come. Is kind of the way we've been thinking about it. And it's true. And a lot of students come from word of mouth. And but I think going forward, we are definitely transitioning towards investing a little bit more than we are doing today, for sure, on growth and especially digital marketing and making our brand known in the Japanese market. So I don't know if it'll be 50-50 yet, but we're definitely, I think, going maybe towards at least 30-70.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I also wanted to add something to that, but I think it just like flew out of my head.
Okay.
What was it? It'll come back to me. Anyhow. Yeah, that's a good question for Bill. It's a good example industry. I think education is quite different. I think I remember the point that I wanted to make. I think Kani and I really liked the idea of having something kind of exclusive for a while, to just kind of like protect our brand. Because we our product, instead of it being like a technical product, our product, there are students, right? So we wanted each and every student to be a success, especially in the very beginning. So we decided to forego a large class in profits and instead focus on, maybe like being a little poor but having like some kick-ass graduates like Bill. Have you guys certified the company / yourselves? We have not. We were actually for a long time very anti certifications. And yeah, you more so than me, Kani, I remember.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of students, so we don't offer a certification once you graduate. There are some students who need it for whether they're going to school and they want to show that they completed a course, and we will give you a certification. But we are very, very, very opinionated about this. We believe that all you need is skills. After finishing a course, prove to people that want to hire you that you can do the job. and not have a piece of paper talk for you, because you're right, everything in Japan has a certification attached to it. So we are of that mindset, and sometimes it's maybe not the best thing, and it's definitely taking us more time to penetrate, especially into enterprise. But once people kind of understand what we do, how we do, and the outcomes, I think they are convinced of the quality and the products and the methods. So we want to try and stay true to this. We are trying to disrupt a lot of things in Japan, and one thing is, this aspect of certifications, because that just makes you one of those other schools that want to graduate as many people as possible with this piece of paper. And we want to make sure that the students can always showcase their skills that they acquired here.
Yeah. I think we have another question from Mark. Do you consider yourself rather a tech company or a learning company? That's a really good question. I don't know what Kani would say, but I consider us as a learning company. Like, we are a school. I do, call us a startup. Whenever I think of startup, I think of fast growth, right? Like you have this assumption, this kind of risky assumption, and you're growing fast and yada, yada, yada. I think for us, the startup nature of our business is in our students, actually, right? Because most of our students come from completely non-technical backgrounds, and they have this crazy dream that they're, going to be a software engineer. And we basically help them in a very fast way reach that stage. We're creating unicorns or creating butterflies. And that's always been, I think, the really exciting thing for me about boot camps, was just this idea of hacking education, right? Instead of doing a 4-year university, we can see that impact that person entering the market in less than a year, right? And we've seen that over and over and over again with people who come. Someone will come to one of our beginner workshops, and then that snowballs into them learning how to code more seriously, into doing our program. And then, so we've seen that kind of trajectory before. And I think that's been the exciting thing for boot camps. The creativity is in what are the things that people need to know that are vital to having a sustainable career, having longevity in the market, or in their career. And then figuring out how can we deliver it in the shortest, most efficient way. That has been really exciting. And the other cool thing is, the tech industry, a lot of gender issues, right? Not very many women, as software engineers. And so the other really cool thing about boot camps is, unlike, trying to get girls to code, we see the impact happening really fast, right? We can put women engineers into the market in less than a year, in a few months, 6 months, on the fast end. So that's also really cool to see that direct impact, and the number of software engineers in Tokyo, in Japan, is so little. And so being able to put women into the tech workplace, onto engineering teams, we really see that direct impact in the Tokyo tech scene. Yeah. Let's see. We have a few questions. I'll take one more. How successful has your drive to persuade companies to offer scholarships to particular groups been? Seems like it's been a tough sell in Japan. We've actually had a few scholarships. I think we've had more than 5 scholarships so far, from a few companies. TRIAD, which is the Toyota's Toyota Motor Company's AI research arm, did a scholarship. They were actually the first ones to do a women's scholarship. We also had a small company called Yamaneko sponsor 2 scholarships. we've also had another small company, EdoCode, sponsor a few as well. So that actually has not been too hard of a sell. I think this year, being, you know, a bad year, we haven't had any scholarships happening, but in the past, you know, we had several going on at the same time.
And not only just companies, but we've had a lot of outpour from individuals as well. So it's been, I mean, this was a personal post, but I had a student who was learning how to code on their iPhone and Android phone and didn't have a laptop. And I just asked people if anyone has a laptop to give away. And it was overwhelming to see the responses. So similarly with, some other meaningful students that we've been wanting to help. So that's also been great. It's really great to see that kind of help coming in from just individuals as well.
Well, Kani and Yan, thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It's really fantastic. So a virtual round of applause. Thank you very much.